granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Picture this. The Japanese surrendered to the Americans. The American army signed the treaty ending hostilities, and throughout the world, in New York and in London, crowds of citizens went out onto the streets and shouted, "Death, death to the USAF." It's almost beyond belief what's going on. I say almost because anyone who's been watching what's been going on over the past couple of years will know that any amount of peace that the Israelis make with Hamas or whatever, these people are not going to be satisfied because their goal is the destruction of Israel. It doesn't matter if they're not fighting Gaza anymore. And it says here that there were shouts of shame and free Palestine from the Palestine crowd. Somewhere there's somebody saying there's no finishing this until Palestine is free, whatever that means. And they're now marching through London. As I'm making this video, it's a couple of hours ago, marching through London chanting, "Israel is a terror state." They've finished fighting. They're pulling back, but this isn't good enough. And if you saw my previous video in which I discussed the idea that anti-Semitism was being used as a sort of wedge I brought up the Snow Queen, the Hans Christian Andersen story, in which I talked about the shard of glass or ice from the Goblin's magic mirror going into the eye of Kai, the sort of hero of the story, or at least the object of the heroine's rescue, and it distorted his vision to the extent that he lost his human soul. He couldn't feel human emotions anymore. I use the word soul. I suppose, look, for those of you who aren't thinking religiously, you could use the word psyche, because that's more or less what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about an eternal soul. I was talking about the human soul that we all have, which psychologists or psychiatrists call the psyche. And I said it had become a religion which was like the glass, the ice, that the snow that went into Kai's eye and turned him into the robot of the Snow Queen. So these people are having their vision distorted and they're losing human emotions. They're losing their humanity. And that little shard of glass or ice is anti-Semitism. That is the wedge that's being used to turn these people into robots. And I said it yesterday in my previous video, and now I'm just proving it to you with this series of little reports in the Telegraph this afternoon. I'm Granniopteryx. Please like this video, please share it. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you want to support me financially, well, yeah, you know, all my money goes to supporting my horses financially. And if you feel like doing that, I notice a few people have been. I'm sorry, I haven't got round to answering your donations and thanking you for them, so I will do. But please be patient. And meanwhile, I want to say thank you here. I'm not being very articulate, am I? Not today. I am just so heartbroken about what's going on here because, yeah, I knew it was there, but it's horrible to see in the flesh so to speak. Okay, let's get on with discussing this article. So here we have, the fruits of Bobby Villan's outburst on the stage at Glastonbury because they picked up a new slogan. Right, so as I've said before, the whole modus operandi of these people is chanting. You can't argue with a chant, you can't discuss with a chant. You just chant, it drives a message into your head, and all you hear is that message resonating inside your skull, and you don't hear anything else. And that's what the leaders of these groups are aiming for. And that's what these idiots are allowing themselves to be saturated with. So it says here around 500,000 people have gathered. It's astonishing how they're mentioning 500,000 people here. And when the Tommy Robinson, when the Unite the Kingdom rally on September the 13th was out, the MSM were insisting it was only 110,000 when it was double 500,000. But they couldn't count then. And astonishingly enough, they can count now. What do you think of that? Yes, so it says here, pro-Palestine activists have continued to express anger at Israel over its military operations in Gaza. They've stopped. And they say here, pro-Palestine activists. It isn't. It's anti-Semites, usually Muslim anti-Semites, who are letting the background base anti-Semitism that does, let's face it, exist in British culture. And they're just bringing it up to the surface. And we've got to face this. There is a cultural background of anti-Semitism in, almost any country in the West. Not in India. They never had that problem. Anyway, let's just stick to the West. I mean, you see it in literature. You saw it, the fact that in the 12th century, some bishop or monk made up the idea of Jews taking the blood of Christian children, and that idea just spread like wildfire. It was out of his sick brain, but it took hold everywhere. And that's because there was this background. It was like dry brush waiting for the dropped match. And you see it in Shakespeare, you see it in Dickens, and Dickens had a lot of Jewish friends, and some of them, they took Dickens to task about his portrayal of Fagin, and Dickens later on said, maybe I had got a bit carried away, and to make amends for that, he wrote another novel about a virtuous Jew. Do you remember the name? Because the name escapes me right now. It fell as flat as a lead balloon, that novel, because nobody wanted to hear that. They wanted to hear about Fagin. I'm not saying that everybody in Britain is a raging anti-Semite. Obviously not. I want to show you one person, definitely not. Now, let's see. It says here, down here, got it. It says a counter-protester appears to have been removed by police after he was holding a sign that read, "Stand up for British Jews." This guy here, I'm sure that must be Mark Birbeck. Here, let's have a look. This is Mark Birbeck, the founder of Our Fight, which when he saw the rise of anti-Semitism, he started this group which comprises non-Jews who are concerned about this surge in anti-Semitism. And I think that's probably him. It does look like him, doesn't it? And they arrested him. They arrested him. And that's what the British police are doing now. They're arresting the people who are standing up for morality. And I'm saying that because this is definitely anti-Semitism. They might like to dress it up as Palestine, but the poor beleaguered Israel, yeah, poor beleaguered, okay, they're very strong militarily, but they're so peaceful that they weren't ready for the sort of barbarism which I detailed just a tiny snapshot of in, as I say, my previous video, which I might also say has very low viewing figures. Nobody's really interested in this, but it is really important, and that's why I'm dealing with this here. It's important because this is the glass in the eye. You saw it in Germany. Once the population got on board with this anti-Semitism thing, they could be made to do anything. This was just the wedge that opened the locked door. And it's very, very dangerous. End the siege. That's exactly what they're doing. Are they really interested in the Palestinians? Are they saying, great, now if they really want to, now that peace has broken out, let's all go over there and try and help these poor people who've been thrown around in a terrible war? Have they? No. They are still concentrating on the Israelis, i.e. the Jews, which again is not accurate in any case. So let's see. There were some counter-protesters, but of course the counter-protesters, like I suppose Mark Burbeck, were outnumbered by the sort of people who you might personify in Jeremy Corbyn, who's starting to get the sort of face he deserves, actually. If you've read the portrait of Dorian Gray, you will know that he kept on looking like a young and beautiful man and did all sorts of awful things because he could get away with it. And his portrait in the attic started to take on the vicious and ugly look of somebody who is an evil person. And then at one point he suddenly realises he's also a hypocrite. He sees the picture and there's this slight twisted smile on it now of hypocrisy. And I don't know, that face there somehow has that look to it. Corbyn is the portrait of himself. Okay, and so Israel is a terror state, and just look at all of this. And there is no British government recognition of Palestine, which is going to stop these people, because they are not after Palestine. They are anti-Semitic, and that has opened their soul up to overturning and destroying their own culture. That's all it is. I told you, it's just the wedge. And that's what they're doing. They are threatening, there's Big Ben there, or Elizabeth Tower rather, they are threatening the British government now. Look at that. And if you notice, there's not one single Union flag there. These are people who hate Britain. And Jew hate is being used to open up their minds. I keep saying their souls, opening them up to destroying themselves. This is definitely being orchestrated from unfriendly powers of various sorts, that's for sure. But what really upsets and offends me is that there are so many British people prepared to allow this to happen. That really is a sad thing. And people like Mark Burbeck and Tommy Robinson, the best of British. Oh, Katie Hopkins, Julia Hartley-Brewer, yeah, each in their own way. And then this thing, thousands march through London despite the peace deal, because it's not about peace. It's not about freedom for Palestine. It's about the death of Jews. But over and above that, it's about a hatred for this country, a wish to destroy the Christian framework of this country. Oh, and I just thought of something. While we're talking about destroying our Christian culture, this happened in Canterbury Cathedral under the new administration of the new Archbishop of Canterbury. The church has been painted with graffiti. She commissioned this as a means of being more inclusive. I don't know what the... Oh, go away. Yeah, I don't know what the rationale was for this, but here we have it. A beautiful building and to which you go for spiritual uplift, and there's this. Hang on, I'm just going to find a couple more pictures. Here, look, I mean, you're going there to be away from this sort of thing, really, aren't you? It makes Canterbury Cathedral look like an underground car park in Peckham, which brings to mind that scene from Life of Brian where Brian is trying to write Romans Go Home. How I wish that some strict Latin teacher had got hold of this before it started. It's terrible. It really is terrible. But okay, so I was talking about the destruction of our Christian society, wasn't I? Well, here it is. Those graffiti in Canterbury Cathedral, one aspect of it, and this is the other aspect. Okay, well, yeah, I think I've said enough. This is sort of an appendix to my previous video, but it's just a shame that everything I'd said before has been proved right. That gives me no satisfaction at all. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.